New Orleans Saints sign LSU legend and Super Bowl champion Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are watching Saints Now with the boy Trace, and we're going to talk about this CEH signing. Now, I wasn't going to cover this because I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's a practice level player, our practice squad roster spot. It's the way I see it is that it is a contingency plan if Alvin Kamara can't play Monday. And they don't want to go into that game with Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller, so they get CEH. And they say, all right, well, we'll get Helaire, and then if Kamara can't play, we'll elevate him. If Kamara can play, no harm, no foul. So the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I have had a ton of questions about it. So let's see what Trace has to say, and I'll throw in my reactions where I can, being the face of the franchise, doing what no one else can do on a daily basis.
What's happening, Saints fans? We just got a roster alert. The New Orleans Saints have signed former LSU legend and Super Bowl champion running back extraordinaire Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's bars right there. Kind of mess up on the last part of it, but that's bars right there. And we're going to break down everything you need to know around the signing, where he is, what he's doing, everything in between, updates on
what he's doing is virtually nothing, I would say.
Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller, Jamal Williams, all of that and then some in today's show. But really quick, this is why you subscribe, because if there's any news around the New Orleans Saints, doesn't.
All right, we're going to skip through the ads. We'll skip through all that.
So the New Orleans Saints were the team that actually broke the news around this update, saying that the Saints have signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire to the practice squad. So worth noting, it is a practice squad addition.
Yeah.
They did have to waive the contract of Kendall Vickers, a defensive tackle who's also on the practice squad. Ian Rappaport, Nick Underhill, they were the first ones to report. I guess Nick Underhill was the first one to report it, but the team did announce it not too much after that. And in terms of the production for CEH over the last 4 seasons, it's been all right.
All right, brother. What do you all right? I'm pretty close to some of these numbers. I mean, he had one more touchdown than I did last year. And I was sitting on the couch.
I mean, it was really good off the rip.
Let me explain this. So at this point in the season, like you have your roster, right? Like, you have your players, you have your roster. You've been doing this week in, week out, day in, day out, and it's kind of like dance with who brought you, right? When you bring in a player at this level of the season, you're bringing in that player almost as just like a number. You're bringing them in as a roster slot. You are bringing them in to fill a quota. You're not bringing somebody in to be like the difference maker. Now, someone can, obviously. You get the opportunity. Like, you never know what happens. But this move right here is not to... This isn't to, let Clyde Edwards-Helaire take over or to see what he's got for the future. Or, this isn't a franchise-altering, depth chart-altering maneuver. If you're a Saints fan, you hope he doesn't play. You hope Alvin Kamara's healthy, Alvin Kamara starts, Kendre Miller continues to get a bulk of the backup reps, and that's it. Like, you don't want to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire have 10 carries. Because if he has 10 carries, that means that Alvin Kamara isn't playing. And it also means that Kendre Miller probably isn't very productive if he's getting that much carry. So it's one of those, you got to kind of be careful with expectations, or even if you want him to be playing.
Well, as a rookie, he won a lot of games for the Chiefs. He was really, really good. And in 2021, continued to be good, a little bit less opportunities, but still found the end zone a handful of times. And then in 2022, 2023, we really saw the usage start to dip. But back at LSU, I mean, when he helped the Tigers in 2019 win the national championship, he had over 1,400 yards, over 6.5 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns, and a total of 55 receptions. And I'm not going to sit here and say that CEH is going to come in and be your bell cow back. I'm not even going to sit here and say he's going to come in and have a massive role. I think this is purely just insurance. I think that this is an insurance move because Alvin Kamara, he's continuing to work through a groin adductor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is nothing more. This is just kind of tipping their hand of how Alvin's rehab or how things are looking so far. Like, all this means is that Alvin woke up on Monday and said, damn, Mike, the groin is a little hurt. It's barking. And the front office said, well, we got to have something in place. We can't just sit here and wait and all of a sudden Friday Alvin can't go and you're down to a running back, two run. So yes, this gives you a general direction. It's just like when they elevate quarterbacks. Like when Carr got hurt, when Carr broke his hand, and you saw when the Saints signed Ben DiNucci, that told you right there, like, okay, Carr's not playing because they have to fill the roster spot with DiNucci. Like DiNucci has to be there to be whatever, the emergency quarterback or however you want to phrase it. So like that tipped off Carr's like progress as far as his injury. Nothing more. They're not hoping Ben DiNucci has a future. They're not hoping. I saw a comment after DiNucci got signed. The comment was like, I think DiNucci's going to start against the Commanders, and they're going to see what they have in him moving forward. It's like, brother, he's not even going to bring cleats to the arena. That is not an option.
Injury. Now, when it comes to CEH, I do think that he adds some pop and he adds some ability. And let's call a spade here. Last time we signed a guy who didn't work out in Kansas City, worked out pretty good here in Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Remember that?
Well, one is the one. One is the number one wide receiver, and the other will not get any reps at all.
He was with Kansas City, kind of bouncing around, and now he's a Saint, and he's one of the best guys on the offense. So, maybe Andy Reid knows a thing or two about these guys. And honestly, Saints fans, you and I know a lot about CEH as well because of his time with the LSU Tigers. But we're not going to focus on the purple and gold. We're focusing on the black and gold today. Now, it is interesting when you look at the depth chart because Jordan Mims is on the roster. You also do have Kendre Miller on the depth chart as well, and he is going to be getting a lot more opportunities. And with Jordan Mims and Kendre...
Yeah, you kind of got to flip this. Like, Miller is the 2. Williams is the 3, and then Mims and CEH are like the practice squad level.
Miller, I find it kind of interesting that they went ahead and added another running back because it makes me believe that they don't necessarily trust Jamal Williams. It makes me also believe that, maybe Jordan Mims, he's fine, but to be totally honest, I don't think he's been anything outrageously impressive. I'm not trying to knock the guy. I'm just trying to keep it real. That's what I do. I'm a real one. I keep it real. And, I do think with Alvin Kamara and that injury, it is scary. He is very, very close to achieving his first ever 1,000-yard rushing season. Right now, as it stands, he is 50 yards away. He has 950 total rushing yards, and he has been damn productive.
Alvin's been insane this year. He's been really, really good.
An all-purpose back, not just as a runner, not just as a pass catcher. He's done great in both aspects. He's actually one of the leading producers in all-purpose yards for across the NFL before his injury. And when it comes down to Alvin Kamara, I really, really hope he can come back this season. I hope that he can get those final 50 yards. I will say this. Maybe it makes sense for him to sit against the Packers on Monday Night Football and then come back against the Raiders and then just, get those 50 yards against a bad football team.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is kind of showing you their hand. If Alvin is even a coin toss, if he's even I don't know, 60%, why risk injury? Why risk, why really risk Alvin's future or this season or whatever? You're up there, freezing temperatures. Yes, I agree. Unless he can go, and the player always has governance over this. It's up to Alvin. It's not, up to me. But if Alvin is kind of back and forth, let him sit, get healthy, get an extra week, play against the Raiders at home in the Dome, and go from there. But why push it? So, we're a long way away from the game, and a lot can happen in a couple of days, especially when you're a professional athlete with the resources that Alvin does as far as rehab and all that. But I would not, if I was Loomis, I would have a conversation with Alvin hey, take it easy. We'll see where we are, but we're not going to push this thing. If you wake up Saturday and you're like, damn, this feels good, and Sunday, damn, this feels good. And then, we'll Monday, we'll plan to have you play. But if you're even questioning it, yeah, let Kendre get the bulk carries and go from there.
At home. Like, call me crazy. I don't think that's a bad situation for AK. But I don't think CEH is going to have a huge role. Again, he's starting off on the practice squad. That doesn't mean he's going to come in tomorrow and get real snaps. It doesn't mean that he's going to get a lot of run his first game. However, moving forward, maybe. We'll see. We have a lot more to discuss. We have a lot more to talk about, but really quick, got to give a big shout out and welcome home to the Baton Rouge native, CEH. Show him some love by typing his initials down in the comment section. It's pretty cool to see the homecoming happen.
God. I mean, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing, Trace? Type CEH in the comments. Lord have mercy. Come on, man. Damn. All right, I'm going to skip through all this. See what else we got here.
Helaire, he's hopping into the depth chart. But I think that this cat right here needs a lot more reps. Kendre Miller, goodness gracious, this is a player that I want to see more of.
Well, good news, because if Alvin doesn't play, then this is your starting running back. And this is the guy who's going to get a bulk of those carries. And this is the guy who, much like Spencer Rattler, where, all right, we got to see what we have. This is the opportunity to see what you have in him. This is the opportunity to, okay, relatively free path to reps with no Alvin potentially, and not really sharing carries with anybody. So, yeah, give Kendre Miller the bulk of the work, both in the pass game and running, and see what he can do. Now, the issue is he does have less than stellar grades in pass protection. I would assume the Packers are going to be sending some real heat at Spencer Rattler. I would assume we're going to be down most of the game, so I would assume we're going to be throwing the ball. So his snap share may not be very high because he can't pass block. So Jamal Williams will be in quite a bit, I'm sure, on third down and passing plays, just trying to add some protection there. So in the pros, you got to do it. Like in the pros, if you want that high snap count, you got to be able to pass block as a running back. And from all reports, Kendre Miller does not do that very well at all.
He's been really good. There are fair concerns. I'm totally with you in the camp and in the regards and in the discussion that Kendre Miller just hasn't been around enough. He hasn't been good, or he hasn't been available. But when he has been around and when he's been given opportunities, he's been incredible. I mean,
incredible is a bit of an overstatement. He's been good. I
feel like every single time when Kendre Miller took the field, especially in that 2-minute drill when Spencer Rattler almost won the game for the New Orleans Saints, he was a massive part of that. He was running really hard. He almost broke away multiple runs. I mean, it feels like every single time he touches the ball could be a big play. And when you have a running back that can do that, it is massive for the team. And to be totally honest, it's no hate towards Jamal Williams. I just don't think there's much juice there.
Yeah, I mean, like it is kind of funny. Kendre's got 28 carries. I mean, it is kind of funny. Like, right, Trace said Kendre is incredible, best running back he's ever seen. Give him the MVP. He's dynamic. He's this. He's that. He's got 28 carries for 130 yards for a touchdown with a long of 17 yards. Jamal Williams has 35 carries for 129 yards, 1 touchdown, and a long of 14 yards. On the surface, pretty similar, right? It just goes to show you the narrative sometimes, the hopium of young players and the potential and all of that. We got people who are ready to cut Jamal Williams, and we got people who are ready to give Kendre Miller the starting job and tell Alvin to see you later. Size-wise, 6 foot, 224, 6 foot, 205. Production, virtually the exact same. It's just funny how that works out.
We haven't seen him really do anything worth a damn since week 1 when he scored against the Panthers. Dope. That was sick. Awesome. Like, no, don't get me wrong. We haven't seen a lot. And with Jamal Williams, I do think he's a great team pride guy, and I think he's a good locker room guy. And that's not to say he hasn't been effective in terms of being available for special teams. He's been on kick returns. Him and Kendre Miller are your starting kick returners right now. I don't know if you knew that. Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller are your kick returners. He was good in that aspect, but I just don't think he adds a lot of value as a running back. And again, it's not a knock to Jamal Williams, but when the best thing that you can do is give you your social media team a few clips, like, I'm sorry, there's just not really much of a space for you when your team is 5-9. And
I mean, Jamal Williams is currently the only running back on the roster who can pass block. I think he does have to, he has to have a roster spot just for that. Like, he's going to get a lot of work in Green Bay if Alvin can't play because of that. And there's going to be a lot of plays where you're going to see like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and Jamal Williams will be in. And there's going to be a lot of people who are like, well, why isn't Kendre in on 3rd down? Well, watch the play. I guarantee you the play is going to set up to where Jamal is going to start off in pass protection. He's going to chip a block, and then he's going to leak out into the flats. And Kendre just can't do that. So it's not, there's a lot of wrinkles to the game, and that's something to watch. I guarantee you that happens. So if you're sitting there watching and you're about to say, why isn't Kendre in? Let the play develop. I guarantee you it's going to start off with Jamal chip block, slip out into the flats.
Again, I'm going to go back to this with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. God, say his name 10 times fast. I'm not going to expect a large role for him. I do think that he's around for the foreseeable future, but to be totally honest, I don't know. Like, I do.
I mean, this sentence could be, don't expect a role for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And the foreseeable future, it could honestly be a week. Like, he could just be gone if Alvin's healthy and they need a different roster spot or whatever.
I do wonder if he will be back next season. I do wonder if he's going to come back and be a contributing member to the roster. Like, I wonder if he's going to be the competition for running back 3. Because in my personal opinion, how it should go is Alvin Kamara is running back 1. This is for next season. Running back 1 for Alvin Kamara. Running back 2 is Kendre Miller. Running back 3, that's where you have the competition. So you go draft an Ashton Jeanty if you can. You draft a Cam Scatteraboo. You draft an Ollie Gordon. There's a lot of running backs options that are really, really nice in the draft this year. I think you go get one of those types of guys. Or you have CH in the building.
If you draft Ashton Jeanty 10th overall, 11th overall, 12th overall, 9th overall, if you draft Ashton Jeanty, newsflash, he's not going to be in your 3rd running back competition. He will be your backup running back. Kendre Miller will slide to your 3rd running back. You are not drafting Ashton Jeanty in the top 12 of the 1st round and have him compete with Jordan Mims. All right? Like, that ain't happening. If you draft him and Kamara are splitting carries. And Kendre is going to get real familiar with the practice squad. So that is bananas.
He was a 1st-round draft pick back in 2020, so not too long ago. Maybe, just maybe, he could be your other guy to take over when Kamara inevitably retires and is around for long term. Like, my point being, I do still believe that running back is a big need for the offense.
Yeah, it is a need. It's crazy, again, like, it's crazy where CEH is more than likely a week, 2 weeks roster kind of guy. And right now the question was just posed, like, will he be the guy or in the conversation of the guy when Alvin retires or moves on, which is in 2 years? So, I mean, you talk about just a complete, I mean, this is hopium on a whole different level to be like, yeah, I could see a world where Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the team in 2 years. I don't know if he'll be on the team in 2 weeks. 2 years? You think he's going to be on the team for 2 years and producing at the level to where he potentially, I mean, he would be in his, he came into the league in 2020. You're talking about like a 7-year vet? Like a 7-year vet? It's like, all right, it's ready. We're ready for him to take over. I mean, practicality-wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Offseason this year. Like, I know that a lot of y'all are like, nah, you have Alvin Kamara. Why do we need him? We just extended him. Well, He's hurt. And who's your starting running back? Jamal Williams. You want Jamal Williams getting running back 1 snaps on a consistent basis for 17 games out of a season. Like, I want to make sure
Kendre Miller's your starting running back.
that we're on the same page there. Because that's not what I want. I want somebody who's going to come in and be a jolt of electricity to the offense. I want somebody who's going to come in and be effective. I'm not saying that Jamal Williams isn't any of those things, but I am saying he hasn't lived up to the bill of being the leading touchdown scorer the season before he got signed to the Saints. He just hasn't lived up to it. Some of the usage has been bad. Some of this has been bad. Some of that's been bad. But I think running back is still in need. Is it a massive need? It is by no means the biggest priority. But the Saints, in my opinion, need to add to the running back room unless they decide that they want to opt with CEH as the running back 3 next year. So, again, a lot of speculation, a lot of we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams, Jamal Williams he's only had 35 carries for 129 yards, a touchdown, and along of 14. He's not producing. 35 carries, 129, 1 touchdown, 14 long. This is what we need. 28 carries, 130 yards, 1 touchdown, 17 long. That is the difference. That is the difference, ladies and gentlemen. All right, get on down in the comments below. Don't type CEH. What do you think? Do you think this roster spot makes sense? Do you think it's a non-factor? Spoiler alert, it's a non-factor. Do you think Kamara plays against Green Bay? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.